Good evening, everybody. I am Abir
Good evening.
Shanawi.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Doug Handy, and welcome to Real Talk, Our Space.
Yes, welcome back, everybody. As you know, we've been doing every 2 weeks, so it's a nice refresher to regroup and collect our ideas, get a little bit of rest, and look refreshed when we come back
Yes,
on screen. So, how have you been, Douglas?
I've been doing well. I've been doing well. So we had a weather event today. I'm my first one,
For snowstorm?
first storm. So glad to be inside. Hope everybody made it through safely, and it's able to, good to see folks joining us here tonight. I see V is here and
That's
Mohammed.
right.
So thank
Hello.
you all for getting us started. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome.
Salam Muhammad Abu Litha or Abu Lith. I got to make sure I get that pronounced correctly. Well, good evening to you too. Thank you for joining us. Hello, hello, hello. So, this episode for the month of December, we said we're going to continue. We're going to be talking about community activism, power to the people, but also we are talking today about activism and activism without borders. And there's a reason why we say that, but we'll maybe have our audience kind of figure out why we said activism without borders. We have two segments this evening. The first segment, we have the amazing Anika Ingram, who is, Anika Esquire, an attorney and professor, who's going to give us a little bit of a 101 on immigration law.
Yep. And then after that, we'll have Dr. Erin Sullivan and also Tema and Encarnacion. They will be joining us. Some of you all may remember them from earlier episodes.
Yes.
They were here with us briefly just to give us an introduction to their organization. So tonight, they're back. We're going to delve a little deeper into their organization, which is called the Chesapeake Language Project. And really excited that not only that they're back, but they've also brought along with them a mentee from their program. They offer some programs. One of them is a mentorship program.
Mhm.
So Abnel Alvarez, one of their mentees, is also going to join us this evening. So we're very excited to have them
Very
with us
excited.
as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Cool.
yes. It's so excited we'll drink to it, right? A beer.
That's right. And I'm
Yes.
showing off because I was just in Chicago and, I got to get my Chicago Bulls.
Always got Chicago love on this show.
That's right. It's always, some degree of separation. So before we continue, please, if you have any questions, comments, we would love to hear from you. realtalkourspace@gmail.com. And of course, please subscribe to our show at YouTube at Real Talk Our Space.
Please. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So we got a couple. We said hi to our guests so far. Hopefully we'll have a few others joining us and chatting with us.
Yes.
So we're ready to introduce our guest up here?
Yes, we are. So our first guest is Anika Ingram, and Esquire, as we said. She is a professor in Homeland Security and Criminal Justice at Anne Arundel Community College, and she is also a partner of the Ingram Law Firm, where she practices immigration law. And we have her on our show. Douglas, if you can bring her on, because I can't click her on from my end. For some reason, my computer's like funny. Hello, Nikki.
Gladly.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Let's be very formal, right?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, sister?
Alhamdulillah, shukran jazilan, I'm fine.
Okay, she's showing off her how to be right now. Okay. Thanks for being on our show again, Nikki. We had you on a while ago when we did talk about a different topic, though. You weren't talking about immigration law in that segment.
No.
We were talking more about education because you're also a professor, right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So we're going to start off from the beginning. Douglas, go for it.
Just jump right in. So, Nikki, we're here to get a crash course, Professor Ingram. So what's immigration law? I guess, like you said, in a nutshell, I guess. We don't have time for the full semester, but if you can get us started with a little crash course on immigration law.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, crash course on immigration law, just very quickly, as you know, immigration it encompasses a lot, okay? Whether it be, citizenship, whether it be permanent residency, visiting, all types of things. And I know tonight specifically, I think you wanted me to talk a little bit about refugees and asylum. So just so you know, in terms of, it won't be Immigration 101 fully because I won't be able to walk you through every single aspect of immigration. But hopefully, one thing that I will be impart on you, at least in terms of refugee and asylum seekers, is that you won't be an expert. However, you might hopefully walk away with a better understanding of it and appreciation for individuals who are going through these trials and tribulations, because it's scary. It's a scary process. And one of the things that people have to realize is that it's a process that people do not because they just, they want to, but because they have to. Okay. So it's really important to understand that, because all too often you hear people say, why would you endanger your child and come over, do this, and that? Well, it's not that they want to do that, but this is their last hope. So if you look at the aspect, it's their last hope, then you have a better respect for the individuals who are making this trek. So just basically you have you have a refugee. And a refugee is going to be anyone who's been forced to flee their country, whether it be due to war, persecution, or because their home country or their home government can't or won't protect them. Often they're unable to or even afraid to return home. When a refugee flees, they're going to be registered with an official agency like the UN. All right. And this is really important because this process right there allows them to be able to gain access to different state and international aid and assistance, which some asylum seekers aren't going to have that type of that process. Okay. And again, if I'm going too fast, just slow me down. I just know, I want to get in a lot in that 10 minutes. And so when you're talking, though, about someone who is an asylum seeker, they're not officially designated as refugees right off. They've appealed to have this type of refugee status. They could be in the process of leaving their country. Generally, they're leaving because, again, they're trying to escape war or persecution. Due to their nationality, their race, their religion, their political affiliation. So you see, in that aspect, the refugees and asylum seekers, they have some really common aspects in that sense. They're fleeing something. They're fleeing persecution. They're fleeing war. They're fleeing a place that they're not going to be safe. They're not going to be safe. Okay. Now, in terms of being a refugee, to be a refugee in the United States, you have to first, and this is where we get the difference between asylees and seeking asylum and refugee status and so forth. To do the refugee process, you're going to be located outside the United States first. Okay. This all happens outside the United States, right? And then you're going to, while you're outside the United States, you're going to have to be able to, validate or prove any prior or previous persecution or fearing any approaching persecution based on, once again, your race, your religion, your nationality, your social class, your political outlook, affiliation. Okay. You can't be currently settled in another country, meaning you're chilling in another country happily, because then that means that you're okay now. The whole point is if you're currently settled in another country, then you're okay. And then also being able to be admissible to the United States. And what I mean by admissible to the United States, with the refugee process, it's long. Okay.
I know when you want me to bring the visual up, Nikki, if that'll help as well.
Yeah. Bring up the visual. That's fine. That'll keep me on track in terms of, where I want to get to. So, so you see in the flow chart, the first step that you have, or one of the pieces that you have, is the refugee resettlement process. And in the refugee resettlement process, basically, you're going to go into basically go through the process in meeting outside the United States, getting all this screening. So you will have type of screening like the Department of State. Okay, they're doing name checks on all the applicants. These are pre-screenings. Okay, on all these applicants by the resettlement support centers. You have an interview even before you depart into the United States, and you have another interview on arrival at the port of entry. You have a security advisory opinion, basically going through, they're working with the FBI to do another biographic check, and basically making sure you are who you say you are. You're not wanted anywhere else. You have the interagency checks. There's a lot of checks, including the date of birth, your name, anything that's going to prove that you are who you are, that you're not wanted anywhere, that you're not going to be a threat. Okay. The FBI check again. Department of Homeland Security does another biometric identification check. Department of Defense does forensic and biometric. So there's a lot of checks. Okay. You're going to have an interview. At this interview, and again, this interview is not in the United States. In that interview, they're going to be confirming your biographic data. And this gets a little tricky because if you're fleeing because of war, you might not have had the opportunity to get,
right, your documents or what you need. Right. So hold on, Nikki. So what you're telling me is people just don't pop up and show up.
No.
Oh, okay. I just want to make that clear so people in the back can hear us.
For refugees,
Refugees, right. Okay.
Okay.
So the difference also, like asylum is, for example, I'm going to just go throw this example out. If you are in a particular country, all of a sudden you have a new leadership, which is in severe opposition with maybe your political party. You're not necessarily at war, but you can sit there and say, I fear for my life.
Right.
Because this political party is going to come after me.
Yes.
Therefore, I seek political asylum, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Now, but for you to say that, you know,
You have
when
to
I
prove
do,
it.
right, like when I do an asylum application for someone, you're doing basically a history class. You would love history. So you need to go, you know, you have to write the whole story out of as to why this certain political class is in danger.
Got it.
Okay, you can't just be from a different political class and you have disagreements. It has to be fear of persecution from that government. You know? And you have to, you know, you have to have it proven, step by step proven. And I'm gonna, you know, good. So that's.
I was gonna say, can you tell us the final process? Like, how do people know they either made it or they have? Are there some incidents where people have to go back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, absolutely. For example, with the refugee, and I'm going to get to Islam, but with the refugees, they go through all of this, right? And it takes about 18 months to 2 years. They've gone through all this, and at the end, they, you know, basically they have to prove once again that they suffered past persecution, or they have a well-founded fear of future persecution based on those different things that I've told you, right? And then at the very end, when it's time, they can still they're still vetted by Customs Border Patrol, and they're the ones who at the very end will be like, even if they've already been approved by USCIS with an approved I-590, what's, you know, trying to get that status as a refugee, they can still say, you know what, I don't think so. Okay. So even though you're happy,
nothing is guaranteed.
Nothing, no, it is not guaranteed. The good thing though about if you do this through as a refugee, if you do make it all the way through and you get here, there are different things that, you know, there's going to be people here to help you. The whole resettlement, making sure you have like these cultural awareness programs. You know, you're set up. So in that aspect, you know, that is good. But of course, you are, you know, there is still that issue. And then when you're talking about if you put the, what is it called? That little, you know, flow chart back up. Thank you.
I'm sorry. There you go.
Right. Just so they can, so you have the affirmative asylum process. Notice here in all of these, they're fleeing prosecution or persecution. Right. All of these are fleeing persecution. The question is, you know, what is the way they're doing? So then you have affirmative asylum processes. You have defensive asylum processes. You have the process for arriving asylum seekers. So with the affirmative, you're fleeing persecution once again. Okay, you're fleeing persecution, but the good thing here is that you're entering on a valid visa. That makes life better. You're entering on a valid visa, right? So you're entering on a valid visa, and then you basically just go through the whole process. Once again, proving, filing that your fear of persecution, race, religion, nationality, membership, political opinion, and so forth. And you have proof to back that up. And then also with that, it's basically you're filing your form I-589 is what that is. Okay. Now, the thing about that is when you are filing for asylum, the thing that gets tricky is that you don't get to work right away. All right. You don't get to work right away. So here it is, you're fleeing everything that you know at home, and you come here and you have, you've got some safety, but you really can't live. You don't get to file for a work authorization, a form I-765, until 365 days after, after you've actually filed. Or and there's other different variations, but for the most part, you're kind of just stuck in limbo. And because you didn't enter as a refugee, you don't have the support systems that are set up.
Got it.
Okay. And then you see in the next one, was it the affirmative, as opposed to when you get to so the process for arriving, well, the defensive we'll get to in a second. So the arriving asylum seekers, once again, they do this, but then they request it at the border. So once you request it at the border, okay, then they're most likely you're going to be transported to an immigration detention center. And detention centers suck. They're not nice. People think, oh, well, no, they're not nice. Okay. So you're transported to a detention center, and at that immigration detention center, you have what's called a credible fear interview. All right. So, And this is the thing, this credible fear interview, you have to prove that, there's a credible fear of all the other things I've just listed. And one of the issues, though, becomes the issue is the access to your attorneys. I know that there was a detention center that has been shut down. I forgot what it's called, but it was in Texas because, of course. And one of the issues was that the women there and the families, but the women, everyone was being separated. Okay. And then for the credible fear interviews, they would have the little children that weren't separated from them. This is before we're talking even the regular separations that we are seeing now. But they would be present for this credible fear interview. So the woman would have to go through, talking about her gang rape and all of these things in front of her children, okay, without having access to attorneys. So that place in Texas was, turned down. So if it's denied, then you get deported or removed, okay? Now, that as well, the thing about this, you notice when you say the asylum seekers who are coming here, who are trying to get it at the border, this has been a hot topic because we've seen in the past in the Trump administration, wherein you had individuals coming in from Central America, and we had this new thing with, where they were going to be held over in a different country in Mexico and so forth. However, that's not how we work as a human rights human rights and whatnot, because some people were saying, oh, they just want a job, they're just migrants and so forth, and even the ones who are looking for a better life and so forth, maybe it is for a job, but at the same time, some of those are asylum seekers, and they have a right to go and seek asylum. And just because someone is seeking asylum doesn't mean they're going to get it. And I think people forget that. They still have to go through that process. Okay. It's not like, oh, I'm seeking asylum, so I get it. No, they have to seek asylum, but they have to prove that they actually need it. All right. Now, after you have well, I'll get to that in a second when you deal with citizenship. And then you have the defensive asylum seekers. And that means that you've been, put into removal or deportation, and so you are getting relief from having to be deported. Okay, so you haven't affirmatively or proactively filed for asylum, but something has come up. You've been, detained by ICE or whatever. You have a notice to appear based upon your status. Maybe you came here on a visitor visa and you overstayed, or you have you entered without inspection. Okay, EWI, you've entered without inspection, and then ICE comes along and so forth. And so that's when you can still prove that you shouldn't go back to your home country. And in those situations, as with, and I don't want to go too far off, but there's also, withholding, you can also apply for withholding of removal, or at least, or if you can partner up with another country to have an agreement that you can be removed to another country, in terms of, that, or Convention Against Torture, but we won't get into all of that. The main thing, though, is that with asylum, you still have to prove the persecution, or fear the persecution and so forth, future persecution, and it has to be well-founded. And that's the thing, you have to be able to prove it. That's why you should always, always, always have an attorney. Also, very interesting enough about the asylum seekers, the ones who have to go before the judges for their hearings, who've been in detention centers. Everyone does have a right to an attorney. However, if you can't afford one, it doesn't mean you're going to be afforded one. Like in the criminal justice system, everyone has a right to an attorney. If you can't, you will be, federal, anyway, in the federal jurisdictions.
That's afforded to citizens. These people technically.
But you're still afforded rights. So if you are actually, but that's if you were in criminal law, right? And this is when it gets tricky, because especially the way, how immigration has been treated, some of it is a criminal offense, but then when it comes to the immigration courts, they're not afforded an attorney. And so this is where you get into the situation of, and I'm not even exaggerating, 3-year-olds having to go before the judge and prove their case. Okay, yeah,
I've seen those stories on TV. I want to get this question in from a friend. Hi, Scott. He says hi, by the way. Hello. Hey. After the fact that he's like, I thought there was a total freeze right now.
We're not even talking about COVID-19. That's a whole nother.
Okay.
COVID-19 come in. And so what we're talking about, when you're saying COVID-19 in terms of the freeze, there was pretty much, there's a freeze on a lot of things with COVID-19. And it doesn't even just deal with asylum seekers and so forth. But even still, when they're with that quote unquote freeze, if you entered in, August 25th of 2020, you can still process for asylum and so forth. And again, in talking about the freeze, for the most part, it depends on how you're entering. Okay. So
Okay.
when you say that there's an actual freeze, if you've already entered, yes, you can still apply if you've already entered. Okay.
Mhm.
But your case is going to take forever. There's nothing. You see, people aren't even getting, in terms of visitor visas, you're not getting those right now. Yeah, those are totally shut down and so forth. But there's always going to be a humanitarian exception for certain things. There's always an exception to an exception to exceptions. But in general, yeah, COVID-19 has shut down like everything.
Got it. Okay.
But remember, there's always an exception.
Right. Well, that's what we're hoping, and that exception will be, something that is valid, and people will take that into consideration. So I love the asylum and refugee 101. I really wanted to get the point across that, once again, here's a visual for those of us who are visual learners. People don't just pop up.
No.
And I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but people are like, well, they just walk. People don't just up and leave their country just because they want to, right?
No.
It's like, sure, there are people who come here for a better life, but majority of the time when we're talking about refugees and asylum seekers, they've been through a lot in order for them to get to where they are today. And then in our next segment, we're going to show people exactly the struggle that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So shifting gears, we appreciate, everything that you're talking about, Nikki, because it's very important for people to understand the law as well, because it's not just something that's that simplistic. So before we let you go, we have our favorite question that we would like to ask you on a lighter note. Douglas, why don't you ask her the question?
Thank you, Abir. This is Abir's baby, so she's allowing me to actually act. So,
Cheers.
yes, cheers. Anika, so which artist would you have perform an album about your life and why? And then what would the album title be?
Okay, so if the artist isn't going to be me, then
yes, Nikki is a singer and an artist. I forgot to mention that. Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm not a singer. I was a songwriter. I would say Lauryn Hill. Okay, Lauryn Hill and Tracy Chapman, to be very honest.
That's a very interesting combination.
Nice.
Okay. I know, maybe we have to do a duets album or something. Well, because Tracy Chapman, she's like the ultimate storyteller. I love her, And then Lauryn Hill, she also is a storyteller, but she gets my vibe, once she a little bit, and so am I. So that's great. And let's see, what would the title be? Oh, why storytelling, and why would it be that? The title would be either, but wait, there's more. Okay.
I like that.
Or keep it moving.
That's a pinnacle of Nikki's phrases. Keep it moving, y'all. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
I love it. But I like, and wait, there's more. I love that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Always keep them wanting more. So I like that.
Right. That's right. Well, thank you, Nikki, for being on the show today, for giving us a little,
Thank you very much.
We'll definitely always keep you in touch and,
and tell your viewers, always go check out USCIS.gov. Check out UNHCR when you talk about refugees. Check those sites out. Plethora of information. You might not know what to do with the information, and also USCIS.
Oh, I thought you said USAID.
Yeah, and United Nations Refugee Commission. That's always a good one. But always get an attorney. These processes are not.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
All right, peanut butter jelly time.
Hold on, Nikki, really quick. This is from Mahmoud. We love you, Nikki. I don't know why he's always the Corey Cafe. We got to figure that out.
Yay! That is the best. They have the best food ever, and I'm a connoisseur of food, so there's that.
You should go to there. Yes.
I appreciate it, Nikki. Love you, hon.
All right, love you.
Thank you, Nikki. Take care.
Bye.
Great.
All right.
You're gonna have to. There you go.
Yes,
awesome.
I was getting the vibe there. Yes. So, all right. So we're gonna keep rolling.
Yes,
as Nikki would say, in the spirit of Anika, we will keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
So we have more guests in our second segment. So we have Dr. Erin Sullivan and Ms. Tema Encarnacion. They are educators of English to speakers of other languages, or ESOL, and they are two of the founding members of the Chesapeake Language Project. Along with them, we'll have Abnel Alvarez. He's a senior at Annapolis High School, where he plays guard on the high school basketball team. We can ask him how that's going with all the COVID effects, of course, affecting all of our lives. And also, he is a Chesapeake language mentee. So we are honored to have our next three guests join us as well.
Yes.
So we will bring them on.
Cheers, Erin. Abnel, Tema. Hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good evening. Welcome.
So before we begin, I think, Erin, you know Muhammad. He said he's a refugee. He came as a refugee from Lebanon. So we would love to.
Muhammad is one of our mentees, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of our mentees. So he was going to have to work tonight, but he is not working. So I told him to.
I love it. And I'll be touching base with him too.
So he's from Syria, but he came through Lebanon.
From Lebanon. Very good. So thank you for being on our show. We appreciate it. So we're going to start off with our first question, actually, to Abnel. So Abnel, you're on mute. So if you can unmute yourself, thank you. So we always like to know, what is your migration story? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, so I came from Puerto Rico, and I lived there for 15 years. Then I came 2 years ago. I came to the United States to my sophomore year. And, you know, it was a challenge to the process, the transition from Spanish to English, you know, because I knew a little bit, but, you know, that was the first time that I was actually talking to people about it. So it took me a time to get used to it and you know, get to talk. But yeah, I'm here now, my senior year, and I'm still learning a lot.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being on our show.
Yes, welcome. Good to see you here. All right, so let's broaden it a little bit. We know Abnel actually is involved with the Chesapeake Language Project. Why don't you, Erin and Tema, talk to us about the mission of the CLP, is what I believe we can refer to it as, right?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about that. So the Chesapeake Language Project, and we lovingly call it the CLP, our mission, and we started this organization about 5.5, 6 years ago, is to increase educational opportunities for immigrant and multilingual students. So we are a group of 5 educators. So shout out to my co-founders out there who are watching, because a couple of them are. And we saw that our students really had a lot of needs beyond what we were able to help them with in the school setting. So we thought a good alternative would be to set up the Chesapeake Language Project, which it was sort of nebulous when we came up with the idea, but really we knew that we wanted to increase educational opportunities for these students who had so much potential and only just needed a little bit of support to get to reach all of their full potential. So we started early with a scholarship program, and we give out 2 scholarships each year to graduating Maryland high school students, or students who are graduating from Maryland high schools. And we have a mentorship program. Right now we have 19 students who are participating, 7 are in our first cohort, and 12 we have that just started in the late summer. And also we do a lot of community outreach to sort of build understanding about our organization and about the experience that our students have as well. I don't know, Erin, do you want to add on to anything else?
No, I mean, we'll talk later. So is that feedback? Okay, good.
No, I think you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk later about it, but that the last thing that Tema mentioned is we do try to kind of educate the public. And so we'll be doing a film screening on Friday that will talk about Syrian refugees. We've also done a panel where different people come, educators, students, to kind of talk about the experiences. So we also want to do a lot of similar to what you're doing here, is kind of educate others about our students and the needs and also their potential.
Is this what this picture was about?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So, yeah, and so Catalina Rodriguez Lima, she works for Baltimore City. The MEMA is the name of the office. And then Excel was one of our first scholarship recipients. And then Jocelyn actually was a student of both Tema and mine, and she now works with us in Baltimore County. And
Joanne was she's a professor at LaSalle University, and they were doing a lot of outreach to provide more access for students to enter their university. And so we had them come to talk about the challenges that students face in accessing higher education.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that leads us to, I guess, our next question, which is, what do you think is or are the biggest needs for ELL students?
So our students are really a diverse group of students. So they have a diverse group of needs. There are clearly some needs that are more prominent in the community. So, for example, immigration. So following the immigration discussion, right? We have students who are seeking asylum now. We have some of our mentees who are really struggling with the immigration process. We have some refugees, Mohammed. So even though they come here with certain status, they're still navigating that system. He's still working to become a citizen as well. So immigration is a challenge for many of our students, and just working through that. Language, Abnel mentioned it, especially when they arrive in 9th or 10th grade. And so they're learning English at the same time that they're taking high school courses in which they're is forming their GPA.
Right.
And so it really is, a fight to the finish. Like, they have to learn English very quickly if they also want to do well in their classes, if they want to be then competitive for colleges. So that those kind of reach across. But I think one of the main reasons we started this organization is more about building the students' agency. So in the education circle several years ago, there was a lot of discussion about grit. And that always kind of bothered me, because I was thinking, okay, as this white woman from America, how am I teaching my students grit? They have more grit than I have.
Right.
So this idea of agency, our students have tons of grit, but they need to know how to work the system, how to navigate the system. They don't have the social capital or the cultural capital to do that. And so through our organization, we can help build those connections for them and help them to understand how to navigate that system, and perhaps connect them with people that they wouldn't be connected with otherwise. And at the same time, then kind of help train them on how to interact in that circle once we open that door for them. So I think that building their agency is the number one thing. They've gone through more than many adults. They push through, so that we don't have to teach them, right? But we do have to support them so that they can get to the next level.
Thank you.
So is that building of agency, I want to talk about the mentorship program and specifically, is that one of the aims of the mentorship program? And are there other, what are you trying to really accomplish through the mentorship program in particular?
So to talk about the mentorship program a little bit, what we do is we match 10th grade students. We start with students in 10th grade, and we match them with a community member, someone who can help them prepare starting in 10th grade. And that might look like getting an internship. It might look like participating in an enrichment activity. It might be going to a summer university program, something like that, something that would give a student sort of more competitiveness to access higher education later. And in that comes the process of applying to those programs. So sometimes they might have to do an interview. So role playing what the interview might look like. So things that maybe maybe a parent would do with their child, but maybe their parents don't have the same experience in this system to be able to support them in that way. And so we start with them in 10th grade and we go through their first year of college. So Abnel is in our first group of mentees, and he's applying for and waiting to hear from colleges right now. He can tell you more about that. But so we plan to stick with him once he goes into college to support him with the new experiences that a student has when they're in a university. And so maybe with time management and budgeting and what classes he should be taking and sort of navigating these processes to prepare them, for the next step so starting in 10th grade and moving up with them.
Sorry, is this an image of some of the people in the community who have helped, or
So
is it something different?
This was an activity that we did. It was the Sunset Stroll by the Sea with CLP. So we invited community members and our mentors and mentees, and it was actually just at the very beginning of our second cohort of students. And we did a guided tour of Sandy Point State Park. So sort of getting the community together and an opportunity for our mentors and mentees to meet, because at that point they'd only met virtually.
Right. Oh, that's very cool.
And since then, they've only met virtually also. So.
Yeah, no, not COVID, right? So speaking of, your mentees, and we have Abnel on the show. So Abnel, how did you become a CLP mentee? How did that happen?
I don't remember the day exactly, but I know it was
Darn
probably
it. You don't know exact day, time, minute, second, all of it?
nah. But it was about my first semester of sophomore year.
Okay.
So I was recommended by Mrs. Encarnacion. She was my ESOL teacher by that time, and she always knew that I wanted to go to college.
Mhm.
So she told me about this club we had, the Chesapeake Language Project,
Mhm.
the club we had in school. And yeah, I went. I took the initiative to go, and uh, I'm part of the program now. Yeah.
Love it. Wow, that's great.
So Abnel, I know you shared a little bit about some college plans that you're starting to put together, but tell us a little bit more about how the mentorship program has impacted your life. Maybe talk about some of those college plans that programs helped inform, things like that.
Yeah. So my purpose for getting on the program was to go to college. So obviously I learned a lot about it. But also we have done many other things, and we have done like volunteer activities. We have helped the community, and all those things have helped me to like become a better person, like for my future, to learn a little bit more about life and stuff. It's not only about college, but yeah, it has made me a more like responsible person, I can say.
So could you give us an example of how it made you kind of what is it specifically in that program that they did? Tema has a smile on her face.
Um, well, yeah, like more responsible because like every day I remember like, she was talking to me about it, Encarnacion. She was like, she's every day on me, like putting me to work every single day. So yeah, it's make me like a more persistent person
Okay.
to work every single day.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's basically the way it has impacted me.
Okay.
I think what Abnel's trying to say is sometimes we nag them a little bit, and I'm okay with
Yeah.
that because he would never say it, but I'll say it. Sometimes, as teenagers, we need people sort of reminding us of the things we need to do, and
Right.
I think that that's a big part of the mentor role too, is helping the students realize what they need to do and helping them stay accountable to themselves in that process as well.
Right. Okay.
And in addition, I mean, I've now mentioned the volunteer activities. I think some of those volunteer activities, like when we went to Share Baby or to Sandy Point, they might not have been things that you had thought to do or sought out on your own, but then you're learning about other needs in the community. Share Baby is an organization that they provide diapers to people in Baltimore who need them. And there was a little educational piece beforehand, and it was also kind of fun because we like beat their record in how many we wrapped up.
Oh, that's nice.
You know how I like to competition.
Erin's very competitive.
Very competitive.
Anytime you can make it a competition, she's there.
But in that way, we sort of do different things within the community, and I think the students learn beyond their own community some of the needs as well.
Got it.
So I'm kind of curious about the. I'm sorry, Abir, did I cut you off?
Nope.
Okay. As far as like the mentoring, so maybe in Abnel's case, or for any example, like does Abnel have one mentor that he works with primarily? I understand is a group effort, but like, is it a one-to-one arrangement, or what's your ideal format for mentoring?
Yeah, so that is the ideal format. I also used to work in a program for educators out there called AVID that did something similar, right? What the goal was to get underrepresented youth into college, and you kind of went step by step. And in that role, and in the role of an ESOL teacher the years prior, it's a lot of work to help one child through, right? And nagging or persuading or staying on top of some of our students don't have parents that know to do that or understand how to do that. And so I think that one-to-one is really important. So when we reach out for mentors, we look for just anyone who's interested and has a college education. And obviously the 5 founding members of the board, we're all educators, and this is what we do. So we are trying to build up the capacity of the mentors to then help the mentees. But honestly, I mean, and I this is what I like about it. Like we do a lot of mentoring ourselves as the 5 of us, because in some ways we're building something that doesn't really exist right now. There's the Maryland State Financial Aid application, which is called MISFA, or we call MISFA, exactly. I said that earlier tonight, Keith. It takes a village. I texted a mentor and she's like, I called him. And I was like, I called him too. And I wrote back, it takes a village. So, yeah. So MISFA is the Maryland State Financial Aid application, which can be completed by undocumented students. And and this is only the 2nd year of it, or maybe the 3rd, but the 1st year it didn't really go. And so schools right now don't know how to navigate that, don't know to tell their students to navigate it. So like, this is something that we've been doing with some of our students this year. And so we're learning a lot about how to do that so that we can then share that beyond, with our mentors also who can support the students.
And sort of adding on to that, our students, each one of them has their own unique experience, as does anybody, right? But theirs are sometimes so we have mentors who've gone through the application process with their own children, but because our students may be undocumented or may have special immigration statuses or any of these different things, a lot of times the mentor just doesn't know how to do that, and we're learning to navigate that as well. And also, I think we really, like Erin said, we really love working with students, and it's fun for us. It's time consuming, but it's it's something that we know that is really important.
To work with students is a big plus.
Yeah. But it's I think it's I think it's good for the students, and it's good for us to also be involved and stay grounded in the work that we're doing.
Right. So makes sense. So Keith has a question. I think you pressed send before it's where he says, are there any thoughts of using the mentorship to help promote growth in a career and in education? That's a good question.
Well, that's a personal, not necessarily. So with the, one of the things I say a lot, Keith, in my role as an ESOL coordinator, when we're looking for teachers who speak other languages or teachers who understand these different cultural backgrounds, I'm like, where could we get those teachers? Right? They're in our classrooms right now. So that is a kind of a personal goal for me. For this, what we try to do initially is find out from the mentees what are their career aspirations, if they know what they are at this time, or just what are their interests, and then we try to match them with a mentor who has like a similar career path or similar interests. So we do happen to have a lot of educators right now as mentors, so we might inadvertently guide them into that direction, whether they know it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, like everything you two are doing is just so amazing and fascinating. I mean, just to provide the agency for the students is very important. Just to navigate a totally new country has got to be daunting in itself,
I did want to get a little insight from Abnel, because he had shared a little bit about what your plans are. Once you graduate, you mentioned you want to go to college. What are you interested in studying, and maybe where would you like to go?
So I've been talking with my parents to what I want to do and stuff, and I like to draw a lot, and I like to do those type of things. So I'm basically going maybe to graphic designer, to that type of minor, and yeah, that I'm not completely sure, but that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. And talking about where to go, I already got those 4 colleges, but I don't know exactly which one I want to go. I was gonna try to this weekend, figure it out which one I really, really want. But yeah, I can say maybe St. Mary's College, because it's the closest. Well, there's also Goucher College, but I haven't decided yet. I'll let you all know when when I
do. Drop us a line. We'll get you our email.
Yeah.
But you've been accepted to 4 colleges?
Yeah, 4.
He's applied to 4.
Okay, good. And just waiting to hear back.
Yeah, we tried to check out to see if he had any.
Yeah, today we're
like, we're
nagging.
Gosh, Tema.
but no responses yet. But I check in with them regularly.
I think with COVID and everything, which is our next question about, I think COVID just put a stop to a lot of things. But how has the pandemic affected the work of CLP?
So actually, initially, we did have to pivot a little bit in terms of, we have this focus on college, but, the pandemic brought out a lot of additional challenges with connectivity and that kind of thing. And so we did have to pivot a little bit to try to support students who were for the first time in this virtual instruction mode. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, they've done well. I mean, we're still struggling with that a little bit with some of our mentees, but in terms of our organization, it's actually been, we've seen a lot of success during the pandemic. The turning virtual for us. So one of the pieces for Chesapeake Language Project is that we've really tried to keep it regional. So Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, the kind of the Baltimore metro area. And that has sometimes made it difficult for meetings and connection and all of that. And so turning things into online virtual meetings, we've had much better attendance. We've also had better parent engagement. So with our first group of mentees, it was harder to get the parents all to come together in that initial meeting. But for our second group, all of the mentees have parents who parents or guardians participate in that initial meeting, which is really important so that they know what we're doing and so that they can, support our work. We've done some creative activities. So we did a pie baking event for Thanksgiving. So we delivered the same ingredients to the mentors and the mentees all around. And then we did a Zoom meeting and we all made pumpkin pie.
Did you make
and they told stories. There was like a story core component and everything.
Because I can't make a crust to save my life.
We got the crust. So we bought it. It was a pre-made crust.
We bought it.
Crust is tricky.
Actually, it was donated.
Donated crust.
Donated crust. Okay.
So we've been able to do some fun activities. And then the other point that Tema made earlier to me is a lot of the colleges, because of the pandemic, have become test optional for next year and are looking for the admissions process is more holistic approach, which really serves many of our students very well as well. So, and I think colleges were moving towards that a little bit anyway. So we're kind of hoping it continues beyond the pandemic, that more colleges really look at the students as a whole and not just this number, this number, this number. It doesn't equal.
Right.
Well, did I miss anything, Tema? Oh, I also recently was able to start a tutoring program. And so just tonight I met with 2 of the students and 2 of the tutors, and one tutor is applying to medical school right now. She lives in New York. She graduated from Yale. So she's now tutoring our students in math. And then we have another tutor who's in California, which obviously would not have happened. Right. We wouldn't even have thought to have done that. So we're able to tap into these resources. And I think within our community, one of the reasons that I believe in taking this regional approach is that we don't have a ton of resources for the immigrant community in Baltimore. And so we need to come together and work together. And so now we're able to do that even to a larger degree. We also were able to get a volunteer bookkeeper from Colorado who's helping us. And our board meetings also have been a little bit more effective, less chatting, less coffee and donuts, and more
get right to the point.
Right.
So I think we'll maintain a lot of that. Of course, the one missing piece is being able to get together with the students.
Are you okay, Erin? Need some water. Yeah. I just want to remind the audience that both Tema and Erin have full-time jobs as well, and they're mothers and they're parents and they're, have families. So just amazing work. Like talk about super women. They have capes, but everybody can't see them, right? I just wanted to put that out there, right? Yeah, a little superpower, which I think is phenomenal. So wow, that's just amazing.
So we do have a video that we want to share, and I'm gonna ask our guest to help me intro this video a little bit. Well, I'll give you a quick blurb, and then if you all want to add. So there's a virtual film screening, right, coming up. It's called "This Is Home: A Refugee Story," And I believe I guess it's CLP sponsoring this screening. Is that how it's going to work? Okay. So we got a little trailer or a clip from that. And it is coming up December 18th. That's this Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So why don't we show you a little bit of this video? What's your appetite?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where you from?
Are you from Iraq?
Who?
No. Where are you from?
Where you from?
Afghanistan? Where are you from?
Where you from? البيت يعني؟
Syria?
Syria. إيه.
My name is Alexandra Shiva. I'm the director of This Is Home, which is in the World Documentary Competition at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival.
أهلا فيكم في بالتيمور. بيتكم.
This Is Home is about 4 Syrian refugee families who have been resettled in Baltimore, Maryland, and they are starting over.
Me and you go to grocery. Vegetables?
أول يوم بالمدرسة. Hi, how are you? What's your name?
What's your name? ليندا.
Linda.
أنا كنت المدرسة منيح
طيب.
وأنا كلهم من سوريا. شو بيقولوا لهني؟ بيعملوا لي هيك بيعصبوا علي.
The International Rescue Committee is the place where we met all of these subjects.
So now I'm going to have you all introduce yourself to both the class and to me.
What's so complicated is that they have 8 months within which to become self-sufficient.
Can you think of some times when you might need to say your address in English? Hello, 911.
At the end of those 8 months, they need to be learning the language, have a job, be able to take care of themselves.
Wait, stop. Look at the red hand means we cannot cross right now.
They need to figure out how to learn America.
Stop sign. Stop sign.
هاي أثناء أنا معتقل ترزيل كانت تجربة.
These people have just come through hell, and what was so surprising was their spirit and their ability to be resilient and make jokes about how ridiculous situations they found themselves in. When I started filming, Obama was president. He had just agreed to take 10,000 Syrian refugees. And within a few short months, Trump was elected, and there was a travel ban for 7 Muslim majority countries. And it was incredibly scary for all of these families who really felt like they had found their home and were trying to make it home. What drew me to the subject matter was that I'm the daughter of an immigrant, and I saw those struggles up close. This film is about these 4 families. It's about their experience. It's about their struggles. It's about their humor and their heartbreak. And in going into their world and their lives in such close proximity, that hopefully the viewer's going to come with me.
Wow.
Excellent. So where can we see the whole film? I know we have, we're saying, it's an Eventbrite. I guess that's how you all did registration. But yeah, how can folks see the whole?
So if you sign up through Eventbrite, then we will send you a link. They're running it. It's not our platform, so they will. It'll come on about 30 minutes ahead of time, and then they will also then add a Zoom link, because afterwards we will have a Q&A. We'll have a teacher who's from the film. I just, while I was on right now, got word that Abdul, one of the men that was like talking to the children, like trying to explain to the children, he worked for the IRC at the time. He's going to join, and we may have, Muhammad was going to try to join, but he has to work, unfortunately, because he's not in the film, but he came over at the same time as the families depicted.
And I see Muhammad saying he knows the family, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and experience very similar things, especially with the travel ban. So a lot of the families were hoping that more of their families would be coming shortly. And then when the travel ban came, obviously,
right,
nobody else could come.
Right. Okay. And if you want more information, also, this is the website, the Chesapeake Language Project.org. I know you have like a Twitter link or on your website as well, if people want to know more about that. So it was
very nice.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. it was hopefully people can join us and see the experience that other people are.
And it's you'll learn a lot about the refugee experience, a lot of what was spoken about before about that whole process. And people are always shocked about the 8 months. And what's more shocking, I think, is like 97% of the families are self-sufficient within those 8 months, which I just can't imagine me going like the same thing happening. But it's also just it's really well done. It did win at the Sundance, and it's funny and it's heartwarming, and so you get to learn and also enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll definitely promote it.
Get your popcorn, check it out.
That's right. So I thought it was funny when there's, me being Arab, personal local in the media, and I've been to Arab countries, the part where the women are just crossing in the street and they don't stop. I'm like, because that's what they do back home. People just walk in the street, right? And nobody stops. So I thought that was cute how they did that. So hopefully we will promote it and hopefully people will watch it.
Yes.
So we always like to end off with our 2 famous questions. Erin's like, I think I know where this is going. So first of all, we'd like to thank you all for joining us. And Muhammad, thank you for joining us. He says he hopes he can. Ahla wa sahla, as we would say. And inshallah, I'd love to get to meet him as well for other reasons. So my baby, which is my question, of course, to all 3 of you before we leave, is which artist would you have perform an album about your life and why? And what would the album title be?
Okay, I can start. But before I give my answer, I do want to give a shout out to some of our seniors who are mentees who have already been accepted to 6 different universities. So we're really proud of them, super excited, and have gotten some pretty generous merit scholarships as well. So when we talk about the potential that our students have, they really, really have a ton of potential. And all of them, when they started the program, were like, I'm going to go to the community college. And they may go to the community college, but they don't have to now, right? If they want to do something different, they have that option. So we're super proud of them, and we're super proud of the work that we're doing too. So, and I would have, there's a singer, she's no longer alive, Mercedes Sosa, who is an Argentine folk singer. And I would choose her because her music has the perfect balance of sadness and disappointment, but with still a lot of optimism toward the future. And I feel like that represents my life pretty well.
Album title?
La Lucha, or The Struggle. I don't really have that many struggles, but I still like it.
Tema gave us some thought. We appreciate you.
I did. I was like, oh my God, I can't come up with it. But I was feeling a little blue the other day, and I was like, I'm going to listen to Mercedes. And then I was like, oh, of course.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's your artist.
Erin?
Okay, so the problem with this is everyone's going to laugh because I was like, I should be picking like some boring white girl or something. And also, this person would not want to sing my life story. So
okay.
But I'm going to go.
I really want to know.
I'm going to go with Pitbull.
Okay, wait, hold on. I swear to you, I was thinking, I wonder if anybody's going to, I don't know why Pitbull, but he came to mind when I thought about this one. And there you go, Erin.
Well, so I saw him at, not to give away, but at the Democratic National Convention. It was like a private little show. There was only
do tell.
Like 500 people. So, it was like very small. Anyway, and it was the most fun I've ever had, I think. I mean, his music is just, and he's also quite the community activist. He's quite the community activist. So I think that, and then the title I came up with, Tema would understand it, is Twitch. Because when I get, I'm usually.
This is typical Erin fashion.
I'll tell. Erin, when she gets really passionate about something, can be good, it can be bad, it can be anything. She's got a little twitch. And I'm like, oh my God, what is she thinking now? I don't even want to.
Singing Erin Sullivan's life called Twitch.
Perfect.
Love
there
it.
You go.
Abnel, how about you? Who would you have perform your album and why and title?
A lot of people will think that I'm going to choose like a rapper or something, because I'm a teenager. But actually, I listen to a lot of music. So I would choose Herbie Hancock. He's a musician. Yeah.
Good choice.
Classic.
Exactly. From jazz. He does jazz and funk. And the reason I choose him, and this relates to the title, that the title is Work in Silence is because he doesn't he doesn't sing. He
Right.
only does the sounds and the track. So the reason is because I work really hard in silence, and I let the work talk. So I don't sing, I don't talk that much. I just let the work, talk for me. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I like that a lot.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
Wow. Wow. Three albums I got to pick up for sure.
I know.
You called me off Herbie Hancock, man.
That's
wonderful,
deep.
wonderful. Wow.
So we have a curveball.
We do have a curveball, right?
Yes.
So you all apparently are quite studious guests, prepared themselves well. But before you go, we want to issue a challenge. Abnel kind of gave us a little bit of a preview. So we do what we call the 4x4 challenge. We do honor hip hop here in our space, hip hop culture, which exists of the rapper or the MC, as Abnel mentioned. We also have B-boys and B-girls or breakers. We also have the DJ. And then we have the graffiti artists or the aerosol artists. And what we asked, if you can name one person from each of those pillars, and we have 3 guests, and we'll issue the challenge, and you all can handle it. However, I will tell you this: if the 3 of you all can't get out of here and name one of those 4, I'm gonna tell you, Keith Lewis is gonna come get you.
Erin, are you twitching now? Are you twitching?
I'm not twitching. Wait. So I get to do rapper.
I don't even understand the question.
I can do old school rapper from
perfect.
From high school.
Look at see the Twitch is off and running. She's okay. So look at Erin's just off and running. There's the competitive Erin. So
there you go.
He took the rapper. So Tema, what would you ideally between the 3 of you? You would pick a breaker and a DJ and a graffiti artist. So the rapper's off the table. You got Tupac as your MC.
I cannot do this.
I don't know either.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Right.
Erin, what do you got?
An MC, a DJ. Okay. I mean, it could be current, right?
Of course, current, past, dead, alive.
I'm an Abnel. Come on.
Fictional, and we won't know. I don't know. I'm joking.
Oh my God.
I'm worried by an Erica to follow. I could do more. They're not going to fall into the right categories or any category. MC, DJ.
I got nothing.
Who did you say that you would have chosen as a rapper, Tema? DJ Jazzy Jeffers.
That's what I said. That's the only rapper.
I mean, he is a DJ.
I was about to say if a beer wants to help you, usually we don't help anyone out. Right. So there you got a DJ. You're actually at 50%. So
there you go.
You all want to press on?
I was like, that's who she was going to choose.
Yeah, that's what I was going to choose.
I'll give you a hint for somebody who did for like a well, I don't know, B-boy or B-girl. Like people talk about fly girls. That's a hint, kind of, but okay, that doesn't help at all. All right.
Okay, all right.
Somebody in the chat tell us.
Yeah. What about audience participation? Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. Okay, we'll see if we have anybody in the audience. Would anybody like to help?
You got Muhammad laughing at you. I don't know if that's helping. I don't know if that's helping your case or not. He's.
Oh, I love it. Muhammad is on here just rolling. So the chat,
right,
that's okay.
Where are our founding other founders?
Yeah.
Where aren't they? They're not chiming in to help us here.
Yeah, you could be Googling it, people.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Roy.
There you go.
Topic for the next board meeting. There you
Which
go.
one does that fit in? Which one does that fit in? Which category is he working?
He would be you could call a breaker. He'd be your B-boy. So he.
Okay.
There you go.
Here you go. There you go. There you go.
Here's one of our founding members. So
Terminator X.
She really
Terminator X,
came through.
that's retired. I think he's like running a farm now. But of course, Terminator X, a Public Enemy founding fame. But he's retired. But he certainly counts.
There you
All
go.
right.
Thank God you didn't ask me to pick a song, because that's even worse.
Doug, why aren't you asking me about podcasts? That I could.
That wouldn't be a challenge, Tema.
No,
that'd be a softball for you.
I'm proud of you, Douglas. This is your baby, and we stumped our guests today.
We did, and you could tell they're smart too. We had 3 sharp guests.
Good job.
Look at Erin. She's gonna come back with a 4. She's gonna pop up probably in the next episode.
Competitive.
She
Sorry,
is.
it's private party with Pitbull, but it's close enough. Right? So all good things have come to an end, and we love having you on here. Abnel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being on here. Again, you can get more information on the Chesapeake Language Project, and then Eventbrite for all of for that refugee. This is home, a refugee story, please. And thank you for everything that you do for our students, for our communities, and making this country a better place for people who are coming and seeking a new life.
Yes.
Thank you.
very much.
That's really nice. Thank you for having us again.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate
Have a
it.
good night, everybody.
Yep. All right. Take care.
Bye. Oops. Oh, that's always so refreshing to see amazing people doing amazing things.
I agree. Very nice.
So, our next episode is going to be December 30th.
December 30th, yes.
We will close out 2020 with Richard Bell, which is president and CEO of the Kids First Initiative, which is an organization that works tirelessly to break the cycle of poverty by providing young people with 3 essential resources that they need to succeed personally, professionally: food, skills, and information. And correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, he's outside of Michigan. He's in Pontiac.
Correct. So he's based out of Pontiac, yeah, but he does some work in that region and actually done some things in DC, I believe. So, yep, but based out
I
of
don't know
Pontiac.
if I should tease him with my Chicago Bulls mug if he was a Pistons fan.
Don't start no stuff next time.
I mean, don't start no stuff. So, as always,
want to give a shout out. We always appreciate it. And is that is that show enough? Who is? I think it is that. I'm looking at Keith's latest.
I don't know. It's
little
Wakanda Forever, it says. But
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, you're right. Wakanda Forever.
Or is that Kung Fu as well? No, that's also Kung Fu.
All right, we're gonna ask Keith to explain
Keith,
himself.
right?
That looks like, yeah.
It's always Keith.
Keith keeping it lively. But thank you for the knowledge, as Keith, and we appreciate you joining us as always. Thank you for everyone else who joined us this evening.
We want to thank.
Always thank Corey Carter for our music. Dragonfly Jones, of course. I should have known. Keith always keeping us. Yes.
I don't know if I'm.
You're not familiar. All right.
All right. I am not.
All right. So we'll talk about that another time.
Sounds
all right. Yes. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Night, Bear.